Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 for the Lunar Survival, just finishing off this wave, and for the mechs in this wave, obviously you just want to use XXY, it's a really good move to use against them. You can try the XX to try and take off both of their, again, you know, makeshift arms, if you know what I mean, but XXY usually is the best way to take them out, always stuns them, and you can just basically stun lock them with that move until they're dead. Majors, use whatever you want, X forward YY into the Azuna drop, X forward XY into the Azuna drop rather, works really well. You can try the in-air XXY, but if your XX doesn't hit anything, you know, the majors do quite a bit of damage to you in recovery frames with their grapples, so I much prefer using the X forward XY one. XXY also works really well against them. For this wave again, just the ninjas, you want to be using XX to OT to build up points. With the Lunar, all of its moves are really fast, so there's not a lot of recovery frames in them, as long as you don't finish the combo. If you finish a combo with the Lunar, there's going to be a hell of a lot of recovery frames, so you always want to be kind of just doing XX, you know, block cancel it into OT, you know, get that 45,000 per kill, you know, in as much as you can. That's going to really rack up. You know, if you can get like 10 enemies in a row with that, that's 500,000 points, you know, right there, and nailing those kind of moves is what is going to ultimately increase your score in survival. You know, figure out combos and moves that have got extremely, you know, less amount of recovery frames and that get you the, you know, the full 45,000 per kill bonus. Now for this I'm getting pretty low on health, so I'm trying to abuse the, you know, rocket launch guys. These tend to give you blue health more often than not. Not as quite as reliable as it was in Ninja Gaiden Black. You know, rocket launch enemies pretty much always gave you blue orbs in that, but they did change it a little bit for this one. And there's nothing wrong with just using the guillotine throw for them. The rockets, you know, they don't really do that much damage on the lower wave, but you know, they're annoying because they knock you into the air and they can get juggled and you can get, you know, grabbed and on landing and that. And anything you can do to just minimise the potential amount of damage that can be done to you in recovery frames is something you really want to focus on. Excuse me. And there you go again with the X forward XY, sorry, I keep getting that wrong. But Nimpo, got a Nimpo orb there, and Wimblade's Nimpo is really good on this wave. If you get in a tight spot, it's a really good one. I use it here, and you know, obviously if anything's de-limbed, even a mech, you know, if it's de-limbed, it will kill them. And I get another Nimpo orb here, and use it again, but I should have really used Inferno because I could have taken out the 4-leg mechs with that. But you know, because Wimblade's Nimpo doesn't really do anything to them, and XX with the Lunar is all you'll ever need against them anyway. And the Rotate Y UT is brilliant for taking out the mechs, because obviously you don't have to hit anything to trigger it. So you know, if they kind of, what he was doing there, trying to do his ground stomp, you don't have to get them straight away. You know, you can just let it go, and they land, they'll just land in your UT. XX is also brilliant for the marionettes. It always de-limbs them, so you can just quickly OT them. Rotate Y ET is also really good against them. I don't know what I was doing there with the Y attack. That's just, you know, probably the worst move in the game to use against the marionettes. And again, just stick to the XX on the 4-legged mechs. I'm not really going for anything here because, you know, I've lost my multiplier, so I'm just going to go for, you know, building up my health as much as I can in time for Genshin. Genshin is pretty much the same as he is in every wave, in format B rather. But there's one thing you can do with the Lunar, and I don't think I get it in the first one, but I think I get it in the second fight. Again with the Nimpo as well, you know, really quick, you always want to just use the Inferno Nimpo on the rocket launcher wave. And yeah, back to Genshin, the XXY attack with the Lunar, that one right there. If you position it perfectly, you can get the Y attack to double connect on Genshin. And I think, as I said, I think I do it in the second Genshin fight, not the first one. But on the lower waves, even probably to the Mentor wave, that does insane damage. It's like easily up there with the dual swords combo I showed in the dual swords video. And but as I said, you really want to be comfortable fighting Genshin. With playing a hell of a lot of survival and just playing a lot of Ninja Gaiden in general, you kind of get a much better feel for just recovery frames and timing your attacks and figuring out patterns. And with Genshin, you know, with the every other strategy that I like to use, you know, I've really got that down as best as I can really get it. So, you know, trying to set up stuff like that's really risky, you know, to try and exploit the game. You really want to make sure, you know, you can do it really well before you try it. One thing to note against Genshin is usually UTs aren't really that good against him, but as you can see, the Rotate Y with the Lunar does pretty decent damage to Genshin, and overall every move does. Even the little like skims with the OTs like do take off a pretty nice chunk off his health bar, so he's definitely the easiest. I would say the Lunar is definitely the best weapon to fight Genshin with, either that or the Scythe, because XXY again should be the move you're using against him. There's no reason to use anything other than that. Go for the Izuna drop on Genshin though, obviously, because the splash damage does a lot of damage to him. But yeah, go back to what I was saying. The best weapons to use against Genshin are obviously the ones with the least amount of recovery frames. So obviously the ones with like the Kusarigama and the Flails and the Tonfa are like the worst weapons to use, because all their combos that are powerful have got just ridiculous amounts of recovery frames in them, so you're leaving yourself open to attack. Whereas the Lunar, Scythe and Dual Swords and Two Dragon Sword, they're really powerful combos, are really fast, and they haven't got that much recovery frames in them. And again with that, always make sure that if they bunch up, use your Nimpo to take them all out. Tac ninjas aren't really that much of a problem. They're definitely easier to handle than the mages are in Format A, and that was a stupid move right there. Never ever go for an in-air Izuna drop with the Lunar when you're fighting Genshin. I could have easily died there, so never ever do that. And I panicked there, and again just swapped over to the Wind Blades to take them out. And again, the first Genshin is always the hardest one, and I've got him down like, you know, one hit away from death here, so I just tried anything because I knew I'd hit him. And I got my Nimpo back there, which was pretty lucky. So that's the first wave done. Not a bad score. I can't remember if this is the run where I almost hit 13 million. It might be, but as I said, my memory's not that good, and this is an old video. But again, same again with the first wave, and I would ideally focus more on getting your health back if you're on like pretty low health. I am here, and as I said, you know, building up a high combo with the Lunar's pretty tricky. I haven't really thought of a good one to do to, you know, reliably do that yet. And then X forward X Y into shurikens and on landing X is pretty good, but if the on landing X doesn't hit anything, you know, especially with these ninjas, they'll either throw shurikens at you or start shooting you, and you'll block it, and obviously that'll kill your combo. Forward XXXX is really good. That one there where he kind of like jabs them and then scoops them up, that's good for building up a combo, but again its recovery frames are quite long, so you can't really do anything. And again with the Nimpo, trying to make better use of that. I could have saved that and you know, used it for this one. Used it in this instance here, and you know, hopefully got a lot more green essence out of it. But again, just stick to the XX to OT, and again, kind of repeating the same thing here, but for every weapon, you know, it's different. Like there's different things that apply to other weapons, because moves, every weapon with different, every move with every weapon, rather, I'll get it right eventually. They provoke different reactions from the enemy. Like, you know, certain moves with the Lunar kind of make enemies a lot more aggressive. Like the X counter attack is what you saw it there. It's a really, really good move to use. It's actually quite powerful, but it seems to send every enemy into just a really aggressive playstyle. So knowing that kind of stuff is also really, really important when you're playing survival. Doing moves that kind of make your enemies as docile as possible is always something you want to know. And that's kind of another unique aspect where survival is just, you know, so deep. Like there's so much strategy involved in it. Like, you know, people a lot of the time, you know, just call it out to be cheap. And there's definitely, you know, parts of it that are cheap. I've had plenty of runs ended by just, you know, the frame rate getting just unbearably slow. I've had plenty of runs ended by inputs not being recognised because the game just can't keep up with itself. You know, there's plenty of times where that has happened, but you know, for the most part, it's so incredibly deep. And you know, if you were to watch a run back where you got killed or something like that, you'd probably be able to pick out what you were doing wrong. I was playing it earlier yesterday, and I got killed on I think the third wave, the mentor wave, and I got like accidentally ground stomped by a mech, and I kind of, you know, got really pissed because it was a really good run and it was going really well, but you know, looking back on it, you know, it was my fault. I tried way too long to use my elixir. You know, I had already 2 saved up, so I should have used them. So you know, I think trying to think like that on the fly is really the hardest thing about survival. You've got to think about so many things, and you know, if you were to freeze frame a picture of it and kind of, you know, every single thing on the screen has got like 3 or 4 things attached to it that you've got to keep track of. So you know, I think that is just the most important thing about it. And again, you repeat, I'm trying to get a bit more on the strategy, because now, you know, you're just kind of repeating the waves and the strategies are always the same, so I'm trying to get behind more what you should be doing in the background rather than just killing enemies. And this wave again is always an important wave to try and go for a really high score on. I noticed before this I got a lot of green essence, so I can just spam with more shuriken UTs, but I am trying to get some health orbs back as well, because you know, I'll be going into the later waves on this run, so you know, that's something you want to get as well, because in Mentor the damage picks up quite a lot. And that's going to do it for part 2, and I hope you enjoy watching, and I'll see you in part 3.